Good morning. Good morning. Good day, Bitcoiners. I'm a little congested this morning, so bear with me. I may have to mute when I cough. Welcome to Bitcoiners United. Again, Staci is with me. Staci is an active leader on the Bitcoin Army, moderating that community on X. That's where I first started following her and came to be aware of what all she was doing. She founded the Paranoid Bitcoin Anarchist community as well. She is the host of the Bitcoin Nova. I might call it a supernova at this point, podcast on YouTube channel and dedicated. That channel is dedicated to educating everyday people about Bitcoin, finding financial sovereignty and their personal freedom. Staci interviews everyday Bitcoiners, educators, entrepreneurs, builders, and thought leaders who all explore how Bitcoin is reshaping money, our culture, and the future. The Bitcoin Nova podcast features long form conversations about Bitcoin adoption and grassroots community building philosophy. She's had a lot of great guests on there, building some educational content, and just has blown up, which we'll talk about here as we go. It's not just a podcast, it's a brand. The Bitcoin Nova brand promotes Bitcoin education and community events, Bitcoin themed merchandise. It's can be found on her online store, the Bitcoin Nova. You can go to bitcoinnova.store and she can be found on X, both Staci and her podcast. What an amazing array of various busy business and promotional branding activities you've been doing lately. I just see you online all the time. Staci, thank you for joining me. How is your day going?
It's going great. Thank you so much for having me on and for that intro. It's just it feels like a lot when you actually hear it all back, but it has been busy, but it's been so much fun.
People love you. I've got comments scrolling already just from the Bitcoin Army and elsewhere, members of the Hive. We love Staci. As these float in, it's great to see. I'll probably just pop them up here because it's fun to see. We got Elizabeth reposted the stream. Thank you, Elizabeth. Wow, how do you find the balance? So, like you, like many of our viewers who tune in, I've got a daytime fiat job. I can't escape that right now. I'm balanced in two worlds. I've got kids. I'm a husband. I have some kids in college. I have some kids that are graduating into kindergarten soon, and it keeps you busy. Meanwhile, you have these background passions and you have to be, I've heard it said, you kind of have to be selfish with your time, but you have to balance like time management. Do you just find yourself having to be very organized and set aside, squeeze it in, be organized, or how do you find your path through navigating all the things?
It is hard having kids. I have three myself, not even in high school yet. So they're still on the younger side, but they're old enough where I don't have to, do everything for them. They
Mhm.
understand I do have to carve out time for it. I do have a regular job and I do this on my days off. So it just feels like I'm working 7 days a week. But
Yeah.
the time that I'm working in Bitcoin, doing the podcast, connecting, doing whatever I can to promote Bitcoin and adoption it's energizing. So it kind of, sometimes before I'd feel like I would be working and taking care of things and I would just feel drained. But this definitely energizes you when you get into Bitcoin and connect with Bitcoiners. So I did have to manage time. I had to learn time management better. I'm still working on that. It's a work in progress. And I'm kind of a perfectionist. So a little bit of my content, I would spend a little too much time, creating shorts or creating videos. And because I love it, it really makes me happy. But at the same
Yeah.
time, I have to kind of take time away from X. I have to like put stuff aside and just make sure I'm focusing on the things I need to focus on. So it's sort of compartmentalizing in a way. But yeah, it's been tough, but it's also really fun. And I'm encouraged by my husband, who he's always been supportive, and that helps so much. He's
The notorious George.
Yes, the notorious George, who also is doing the educational content now on the channel that we just started.
Uh-huh.
And I love it because he's a teacher, and his idea to share Bitcoin knowledge in short bursts is is really important because people have a short attention span. So to try to get new people into Bitcoin with, podcast clips is great, but at the same time you need to know what is Bitcoin in short bursts. So it's a really great way to hopefully kind of reach outside and teach more people about Bitcoin and its properties, and maybe kind of bring them into watching some more of the podcasts and learning more from the people on the show.
Yeah, and it sounds like he narrated some of the shorter Bitcoin learning educational videos you've been making. So I will just say, when you become a parent for the first time and you start to realize what actually being tired or busy is, or you go from one kid to two or three, and I think it's a good training, a life training experience where you learn how this is what life is when you're actually really completely busy and tired. But you realize you might get home from work and you're like, I'm done. I'm done. And then you see your kids or you see your husband and you're like, I still got more in me. And with Bitcoin, having been trained through the gauntlet of parenting, with Bitcoin, it's like you can add that in and be like, I'll get home from work or I'll have time with family or have all the things going on. And then it's like, you know what? I still have personal things that are important to me. And you can realize I can still give a little more.
Right.
And it's not that you're just giving yourself up. You got to feed your soul as well. So
True.
your family feeds your soul. Your job can, in ways, feed your soul if it's the right job. And Bitcoin can. So you can find that inner strength when you thought you were done in a way. So you got to make the time when you can make it. And
Well, I love that you said that because, there are so many people in life that you meet that make their entire life about their kids, which of course, you want to be all about your kids and give them all the attention they deserve. But when they grow up and they don't need you as much anymore, they have their own lives, and then you're putting your sadness or your loneliness onto them. It's not good for the kids. You want them, as a parent, you want them to enjoy their life and uh, to have fun and be happy.
mm,
So I think that having your own passions, having your own hobbies and interests is really important as a parent. So you just get so focused on the kids and the family that you need to find a passion. It's something
yeah,
that, and I think I'm at a prime age for that. Like my kids are at a prime age for that, for me and my husband. So when it comes to things like how everything is evolving and learning all the Bitcoiners we're meeting, and wanting to eventually go to more meetups outside of where we live and
yeah,
travel more, it's a good age that the kids are at, that I feel like we can have our own thing. We can go
yeah.
take our own trips and get more involved in Bitcoin that way, and meet more people.
And as they get older, they can participate more in the the involved stuff as they're able. Breaking news to young parents is that as they get older, much as you may love them, you're not as cool as you were. Your kids will let you know that you're just not as cool anymore. They want their freedom, and it's a balance. You can't help but feel a little guilt, or you're gonna hover a bit, and you're gonna care and love and want everything right. And also, you're also giving them the skills to be free, do their own thing, figure it out, take that responsibility. So it's a balance in life. Now, when it comes to spouses, oh, go ahead if you had an idea there.
Sorry, I always have random ideas. I feel bad for cutting people off.
No, this is it.
But I just think that with kids, it's been really nice to see the transformation in how, because when you're a parent, you lead by example. So sometimes trying new things and doing whatever it is that I'm doing, I had to, you know, try something new and be brave and take a chance. And they at first would just see me doing these podcasts or see me posting stuff and editing, and they would not make fun, but they'd be like, "Oh, mom's doing Bitcoin stuff again. And there she goes." But as they're seeing the channel grow, they check on it, they look at the subscribers and they're like, "Wow, mom," and they would give me tips on my shorts and be like, "Mom, you shouldn't do those kind of edits. Those aren't cool." So they would like, give me tips on editing from what young people think is good, which can
Yeah.
maybe help reach some of them. But just seeing them change their mindset from what I'm doing to being like, "Oh, mom's doing something. What is that?" To actually being proud, of their parent for doing something,
Totally.
it's really nice to see that you can show them that you can try something new at a different point in your life. You're not stuck in the same role you've always been. You can do things, and they can be inspired by that. So I think it's a good
Yeah.
parenting thing to just follow your passion and show them that you could do that.
Yeah, it'd be interesting for I'm just only imagine this because my parents were both humble kind of public servants growing up. And you imagine you had a parent who was kind of publicly visible, or in the age of the internet, you can put yourself out there. We can get to that too, where just pressing record and putting yourself out there when you're kind of thinking, I mean, there's people out there doing stuff. Who am I? What am I adding? And I had all this kind of reluctance or excuses why not to just bite the bullet and do it. And so, but you put yourself out there. And so, friends, family, people you don't know, your own kids can tune in and like see you. So my kids can are aware peripherally as uncool as I am, they can see me online and it adds something to their lives. It like, you know what? Wow, like mom's cool. And it may take time to recognize all of the totality of how cool you are. But over time, it's like, wow, mom is putting herself out there. Mom is doing stuff in the face of like people may not, this isn't mainstream people. Oh, yeah, yeah. Everyone gets it. It's a bit of a niche right now because we're so amazingly, awesomely early. And I would just think that with kids or others, they'll be like, you know what? If nothing else, I may not totally understand or relate to everything, or I'll have my superficial thoughts about it, but you're doing it. That's what matters is that you're doing it. It doesn't matter that you might be like, oh, I'm not a good enough artist or a good enough musician or a good, I don't know. You always have that imposter feeling. You know what the hard part is doing it. You can have the ideas, you can have the mustering of courage, but the doing is always the harder step. And then doing it again, and then doing it again, and then showing that proof of work. So that's what I'm proud of you about is like just you clicked record, you started, and you've been building it. And then you're building that skill stack with learning graphic artistry or video, AI, the community management, all the relationships, all the people. That's not straightforward to a lot of people. It's like, okay, not to go on about this, but on a recent Hive Mind podcast you had, you see folks like Bitcoin Cousin or other people on the screen, yourself included, and you'll think, oh, these are like extroverted people who are just, they just sort of have that je ne sais quoi thing that they're comfortable with this. I myself, and perhaps you, feel this kind of natural introversion. I'm not an extrovert. So I'm like inherently kind of introverted, or I'll kind of read the room and fit in and get a sense of what's going on before I stick my nose in things. But when you get among like minded Bitcoiners, you can erupt and be like, oh, I found my people. I got stuff to talk about. So you can suddenly become very extroverted in a space where, as a person, you're feeling introverted, but in Bitcoin, you're pushing
Right.
and you're making it happen. Do you relate to that?
Yes, because that's why I love that you brought that up because that episode was something that we all just felt like we realized something about ourselves because, other than George, who's pretty extroverted, but he's also, but the rest of us, we're all feeling more, we feel more introverted. We felt that way all our life. And yeah, you
Says
think
thank
that
you for the narration compliment, by the way.
you wouldn't think that sometimes watching us, the way we are, the way we laugh on that panel together and the way we talk. But yeah, we are introverted people, but I love what Laura had said in one of the comments. She said, we like to be introverted with each other and that's why it ties back to, you know, first of all, the Bitcoin community, building these communities, seeing them grow, connecting with people in real life. It was, we've made these friendships. It's not just we talk to people online. We're doing the meetup was incredible that we had in Chicago, meeting Bitcoin cousin Jeeves, Michelle, Rob, OG, Bring Facts was there. There was so many, oh my God, so many people. I don't want anyone to think I missed them, but I love
It's hard to remember everybody, but they were all there. Yeah.
it was the best time ever. And normally I hate to say it, but I dread going out with people sometimes because I just don't feel like people can be real all the time. It's not because I don't like people. I always find something interesting to talk about with them,
Mm.
but you always just feel like there's some sort of guard up with people. And I don't know, just being around Bitcoin people that just, when you find true money and truth behind Bitcoin, you just you don't have to have this fake sort of, you could be yourself. And it was
Yeah.
so much fun hanging out with everybody. And so these Bitcoin communities, it's like you find a place, you find your tribe, you find a place where you don't feel so alone because that's what a lot of us as introverts, we sort of love that. You kind of like your space. I think, I don't know if you're that way, but
Yeah.
you feel like an introvert, you like your time to study, your time to read.
Yeah. You treasure that personal quiet time. Like lo and behold, I could just read a book, you know?
Yeah. And I do love that. And like some people, I can't wait to go out, but I would be like, I can't wait to get home so I could either see my family or just do what I want to do. I don't want to have to go out and, especially because I talk all day at work, my job
Mm,
requires me to talk to people. I have to be social. So that kind of helps me with the podcast too, because I'm so used to making conversation with people.
totally.
So that was part of it was I did something I was uncomfortable with, talking to people when I didn't necessarily want to. And I would always find something interesting to talk about with them
Mhm.
in my work. So then I thought, how cool would it be to talk to Bitcoiners? And that's why I love learning from their journey and what they're building and all that stuff.
Providing service to people, customer service, what have you, it's a good skill for a lot of people as a job goes when whether they're younger or just at some point in their lives to be able to have those conversations, random people or return regulars that and they bring up random things in their lives or say something totally random on and sideways, and you're like, well, like connecting the dots, threading the needle, filling the gap, making the conversation happen, give them a good experience and relate. Even though it's like, you know what? You wouldn't normally be like a friend, but we're both humans. Human relationships are a primary essence to like all of this. We can talk Bitcoin, 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 but I mean, the reason why these podcasts are important is because Bitcoiners need Bitcoiners and humans need humans, and we're making these relationships, and doing it live is important. Doing it in person is important. I've had meetups where it's like, oh, I don't really feel like going to be like, you know, uh, do I selfishly need it? Like maybe, maybe not, or you don't even know. And then if you just go, you're like, "Oh, okay, no, I get it. No, this was cool. Yeah, there's reasons why we all want to share and relate." Speaking of putting yourself out there, I'm gonna throw up on the screen here. You have been invited and are apparently gonna be up on the stage at the Midwest Bitcoin Summit 2026. You this started with, becoming known through your podcast and the Bitcoin Army and going to events and then meeting people and them saying, "Hey, you would be good up on stage, right?" When I scrolled down through the speakers here, if we can load them up, I saw your picture down in the speakers list. I think I may have to go to it. Anyway, so
Yeah.
tell me about now. Granted, you're human. You're going to feel nervous, but you're also going to be great. And tell me about how that came to be, and if anything that you know of at this time, what are you thinking about talking about?
So pretty much I'm so excited to be doing this. This is my first time speaking at a conference and, yeah, I'm a little nervous, but at the same time, I feel like I've been nervous since I started doing the podcast. And, every
Yeah,
time I talk to somebody, I think, there are nerves, but then, you push them aside and you just do it, and just don't let your fear take over. But and that's something I learned from my husband too. Him being a performer,
performing.
yeah, like he never seems nervous, but I think he is, but he just kind of doesn't listen to it. You know what I mean? So I think I
Yeah.
kind of try to do that. But as far as how it happened, first of all, it started off with the Illinois Bitcoin Council that I'm part of, which
Mm,
is
yeah.
amazing, and they're doing some great things in Illinois. Shaping policy decisions or helping politicians make better decisions about Bitcoin in the state and also educating businesses, small businesses on Bitcoin and Bitcoin payments. So it's been great being part of that community that, they had a meetup that me and my husband went to, and that was our first actual time meeting Bitcoiners in real life. And it was amazing meeting all of them, meeting Jeff Hilsenbeck, meeting Tim. And it was just like Tim created the Illinois Bitcoin Council, him and Jeff
Okay.
together. But through Tim, I ended up meeting Andrew Tillman, he is the CEO of the Midwest Bitcoin Summit. And Andrew Tillman's doing more amazing things. We also got invited to another meetup, which was his event. It was for the Bitcoin Scholarship Fund. So we met over there. We even met at we met a few times. We've been just since I did it once, I've been doing it a lot, So talking to Andrew and having him on the show recently too. I actually had him on the podcast talking about what he's doing. And then he invited me to speak there. And it's going to be I think I'll be hosting a panel or part of a panel about building or about Midwest Bitcoiners, building community, that type of thing. So
Cool.
yeah, we'll shape more the conversation as it gets closer. But I'm super excited. I'm going to be announcing it soon when I think the ticket sales are going live. So I'll be able to share a link for that.
Awesome. Yeah, super excited for that, and being a Midwest conference, I know that, we've had them in Nashville and Vegas. Let's see, this one is in Ohio, Columbus, Ohio. So right nice and central. It'd be cool if, so here's so Chicago area, I think one of my favorite Bitcoiners that I know people, it's easy to criticize when someone has launched a rocket, but Jack Mallers, pretty base to me, lots of crazy energy. It'd be kind of amazing if Chicago kid guy could come down and be part of the Midwest scene as well, but,
That would be amazing. Jack is doing such incredible things. He is a Chicago Bitcoiner, and
mhm,
so is Natalie Brunell. So it feels cool to know, which Bitcoiners are really making an impact in your area. But yeah, if he were to be, out there for that, that'd be incredible. And just yeah, having a panel on Midwestern Bitcoiners is, I think more of a quiet space right now, but we're starting to make a lot of noise and actually making real world impact. So, um,
totally.
and there's even I don't know, just so many amazing people that I've been meeting through all these connections. So it's not just sometimes you think of Bitcoin communities and you think, what's the point? Or some people don't understand it. They don't understand
Mhm,
what the Bitcoin army is. But for me, the Bitcoin communities are for connection. First of all, I get to meet cool people that I get to have on my show through the communities. So
mhm.
that's happened a lot. But I think that, people have felt alone for so long, which we talked about how they partly like that. They like being alone a little bit, but they also feel like they've been needing some sort of connection. They feel like they have so many thoughts and things to share. And, we talk about, I think when I first started this journey, I talked about tweeting into the void.
Yeah,
Um,
right. You can feel that way.
Yeah. So you just feel like you're completely alone. You're just journaling on X. But once you start interacting with people, then you start to, people appreciate being heard, like somebody saw something. So I always just encourage people to, if you see something that inspires you, make sure you let them know so that they can,
Awesome.
just because it spreads good energy and it makes people feel like, it's nice to be heard, especially when it's a like minded, someone
Yeah.
appreciates it.
We need that validation and that feeling like you talked about it on one of the recent hive minds where, managing I think Bitcoin Cousins said it about how you have your hopes and dreams and your vision and your expectations, and then there's reality. And so, you have to sort of manage your expectations. And so you put stuff out there, whether you're a creator of any kind, an artist, a podcaster, a musician, whatever, what have you. And you put stuff out there, and as a human, you kind of want that validation. And then your natural time preference is kind of like, I'd like to have it now, please. And you put something out there, and it's kind of like, I'm still young or new or early, or I don't know. You never know. But anyway,
But I think
um,
when you
pops and some doesn't.
right, right. And I think that what he said was so true because, you know, you you start something like you did. You started this, I started the podcast and, I remember thinking I'll be happy if like anyone watches this. You know what I mean? I'll be happy if I get like 2, 3 views. I don't care. Like I'm doing it because I enjoy it. Um,
500 subscribers, Yes,
yeah.
that's
I
a
mean,
big one.
it's a milestone. It's great. And how long have you been doing it?
Well, at first phase one iteration that's been going on for like a year and a half is where Daniel and I founded, and Robin Sayer has joined in on Microseed here. Daniel and I worked together, not to go into my story, but I still work in like criminal justice. I
Mhm.
met Daniel through the criminal justice field. He escaped. I have not yet, but he created the idea of microseed. I was like, "Oh, this is big. We need to give this a try." So I've joined up and we're doing microseed.
That's I did not realize that. Like, I knew that he had a partner, and I had him on the show.
That's
Ama
me and Robin.
You and
So
Robin. How cool is that? I'm so happy you connected the dots and you did talk about yourself because that is I love them. They're both amazing. They're doing incredible things.
yeah, no,
Um,
I feel lucky and blessed to have met the
mhm.
people I met. Of all people, Daniel just happened to be in my little kinda shit town, working in our length of ditch as we dug together, and then it was like, "Oh, you're a Bitcoiner too?" Like, I thought I was the only crazy person in this entire town or world, I don't know, And like he's another one. And we were bantering about like, how do you now? So this may relate to a lot of viewers in the audience. Is it's not like you're sitting on 100 Bitcoin and can kind of do whatever the fuck all you want. You you have a job, you have responsibilities, you have the door open, you've stepped through the door, but you can't just quit your job. So many of you are in transition. The vision is there, but we've got a foot in both worlds. I mean, we're not on a Bitcoin standard. So in the course of Daniel having left and gone all in on microseed, me having a foot in both worlds, we were working on microseed together, thinking about it, talking about it, went to Vegas to show it. And it's like, well, I hope people think this is cool because we think it is. And people are like, oh, yeah, that's cool. Okay, well, let's keep doing this then. So, long story short, we were just meeting weekly to talk banter and BS ourselves about the stuff we were interested in, which was Bitcoin all the time. So once a week on Saturdays, we are just like, let's just meet. And we were meeting at a restaurant. So we started out in this local restaurant, and I literally just got my phone up and set it up on the table and hit record and was like, well, I guess we're going live now, or not live, but recording. This is our episode one of what do we call it? Bitcoin Liberty Live. Okay, sounds good. And we just hit record. I
Wow.
had been talking about it for a while. Daniel's like, dude, you just have to hit record and we just got to
Yeah.
do it and move on. Like,
Right.
yeah, they're going to be rough. Our audio was horrible. Um,
Yeah.
but for a year and a half, we just did our own weekly little banter and bullshit. We still do that every Saturdays at 10 a.m. Pacific. Um,
Um,
and, uh, and then after a year and a half of that, I was like, well, Daniel's kind of really busy every day with microseed. I'm busy most every day in after hours calls randomly with fiat salt mining.
mhm.
And but I got to be doing something and I'm helping and doing what I can with microseed. I fill in what I can, given that I can't quit my job. But what I can do is fit it in where I can, like this morning with you, is hit record and invite guests. And I wanted by having guests, it adds so much more to me, like either talking to myself or Daniel and I talking together again for the 80th time. So, which
That's
is always good, by the way, but having a guest, everyone is different. So,
Yeah, I'm so happy you talked about that because and also doing what you're doing, just hitting record, just getting started, you also are doing it in a way where you're managing your life because you're not having to edit these videos and post them later. You're doing the live version, so you could just hit record, put it out there, have your talk. And yeah, it's just like I don't know, just do it. I mean, we do it because we enjoy it. We're not doing it because we're waiting uh, for the views or for the clicks. We just love what we do, and that's why we do it.
yeah.
And also if it reaches people, we want it to reach other people, and resonate with someone new. And it's even one of those things that hitting 500 too for yourself. The more people that find the channel and the more views it gets, it's not really like we just love putting it out there and
Yeah.
but I think the more people that do, share it or like it or comment or something, it helps train, which I hate like the algorithm thing, but like it helps train the algorithms to say, hey, this is people like this, people watched a good amount of it, we'll share it with some other people. So, and then it just kind of spreads that way. So I think the more people, interact with the content, it helps kind of reach maybe somebody new, hopefully.
Yeah. You said you hold high standards for yourselves. And it's a good characteristic to have in a way, as long as you're not hard on yourself. What you do is you're kind of like, oh, like every time, even though if I did something really kind of decently, I'm always like, oh, I could have done this, or oh, I should add that, or maybe it's room now for this. You're always kind of seeking that self improvement. So it's easy to have that expectation or vision of like, I imagine this as being like Natalie Brunell is doing it. Like, oh, but I can't do that. Like I literally am like, or like what some of my other favorite podcasters out there. I could name them all off. And I'm like, you know what? Unfortunately, or just, typically, I am just an 80 IQ pleb normie who can only can only do my best. So I have to manage my expectations. And yet by doing it, you're building bit by bit that skill stack. You're learning through doing. And then as you're doing it, it just sort of comes together. And later people are like, how'd you you're like a professional. And I'm like,
Mhm.
you know what? I don't feel that way. And I certainly
'Cause you're
wasn't.
hard on yourself.
You're
That's
hard on yourself, but you
yeah.
added a little more. And then you fixed a little more. And then you fixed a little more. And you worked your way there. So you've done that, put in your proof of work.
Yeah,
Um,
experience is everything for sure.
Elizabeth says, very cool and inspiring to hear both your stories. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
I wanna get to love and marriage and Bitcoin. Real quick, I'll just mention that having talked about microseed here, you're a microseed affiliate. Great way to take self-custody. I'm gonna play something funny that you might appreciate, just a short little
Yeah.
one of my promos for microseed that I think
Mhm.
people may find funny. So, hey, bear with me and hopefully laugh at this. As a Bitcoiner, you know that taking self-custody is critically important. But if you've ever had a seed phrase, you've probably had it written down on something kind of like this. You can hide it or secure it, but paper burns, paper fades, paper gets wet, paper rots, paper blows in the wind. Paper has things written on it that might look important. So get off paper and get yourself a microseed at microseed.io. Get the kit and crank out all the keys you'll ever need forever.
That was awesome. I loved it.
I
So
crack myself up, but I don't know if other people are like, oh,
I
that's funny.
love it. Yeah, that was super, super cool. But it, yeah, visualizes. People always say, "Oh, you don't want to write it on paper," but I love how you dipped it in the coffee, like in the water.
Yeah, I literally everyone who's ever you take that next step. You say you get off 0, you get off your exchange. Now we tell people run a node. Run a node before you even buy a microseed, but run a node. Take self-custody. You get a hardware wallet or whatever you do, you might have it written down. And then and these are not real words, folks, so don't zoom in. But you got it written down, and then you're like, okay, I'm gonna keep this real safe. Like, because this is important now. Or, well, it used to be like $100 or maybe it's $1,000 or whatever it is to you, it's going to grow and you're going to say, this is more important than it was to me before. And if you're thinking ahead, you're like, this is important already and now. So that's when I tell people, yeah, stamp it on steel or scratch it on steel. The first one, I think I got a metal plate and scratched it.
I
And then
did
you're like,
that
okay,
too.
now I got to secure that.
It was not good. I tried doing it that way, and it
It's
just
hard.
like little light little marks, and I was trying, and it just looked like it was all you know. I don't know. I didn't like that, but yeah, I loved doing it on the micro scene. I love what's really great about it is when you showed yourself hiding it in a book, like kind of thing.
I've hidden it. And it's like, wait, what if I get hit by a train or I've had my kids say, they come out with something of mine and they're like, you know, "Daddy, what's this thing?" And I'm like, "Where'd you get that?" Anyway,
They find everything though. But no, I love that you can, just thinking about any hardware in your house, you could just like screw it in between a screw and just let, the people that need to know that it's there, who's ever going to look at every hinge in your house and see where this thing is. But yeah, you could store it anywhere, safe deposit box, but I love how it's indestructible and, it doesn't fade. Like you think about a receipt paper and even if you write it on paper and it just fades, and you're like, I can't even see it anymore. Plus I write like a kindergartner. So, I think
yeah,
stamping is
penmanship with a metal. Yeah, yeah.
right.
And then you can stamp it. Okay. And I tell people too, like people are like, oh, I don't really want to spend a bunch of money on a tool. Totally get it. Find yourself some metal or buy some washers, say. Now you're not going to get like all 12 words on one side of a little washer all nice and aligned, but do like the Seador route, which is, maybe you do the first four that recognizes a word on a washer. And then you're trying not to smash your fingers and it's going to look janky and it is what it is. And then put those stack on a bolt.
I don't know, doing it that way, you'd have to like, you guys make it easy because you make the kit where you could just click, click, click for
Right.
each letter. And that's why the kit is so important. Because if you were to try to do it on something that small, I mean, you can't see it. Like if you want to see if I don't know, like sometimes I would forget if I clicked it. So I would do like a light tap and then look with the magnifying glass and be like, "Oh, it is on the next click." And then I would really stamp it. So I would just double check
Right.
the magnifying glass, but it's so tiny that you have to look really close. So if you were to do that, you'd have to do it on something bigger. Like if you get a stamping kit, you'd have to do it on a bigger piece of metal because it's really hard to stamp on something that tiny, and that's why it's so cool that it's so discreet and you could use that click system to know which letter you're on and just
Yeah.
all on one thing. One
Ideally, you don't have to be looking. It's got a compass radial dial with notches and numbers so that you can be like, you get in a routine where, so instead of spending an hour,
It was my
yeah, so trying not to hit your fingers or get it any kind of aligned and janky, as you have it, and spending an hour doing that. In like 15 minutes, I can do one side, 12 words, and it's just you get in a routine. Tap, click, tap, click, tap, click, and you crank them out, and then and you don't have to be looking and trying to see it. It's just
maybe I did that because my kids were like, when they saw me do it, they're like, "Can I do it with you?" So then they were helping me. So that's why I think I was a little sidetracked and I was trying to check to see what they did or what we were about to do next.
yeah,
But they loved it too. They thought it was super fun and,
a little piece of art on your desk. It
yeah.
looks pretty.
No, I love it. I
Tell
know.
people you've got a 5% discount code. I don't know it offhand. Do you know what that is?
Yeah, it's ecstasy, but I always forget if it's like my handle name, like a one. So it's I have it right here. It's yeah, XSTACI. So it's
X Stacy
yes, X Stacy with an I.
with an I.
Mhm.
X Stacy, you get 5% off. So Black Sheep's giving us kudos here. Biddy loves us, of course. Thank you, Biddy.
Black sheep, honey. That's my husband, the black sheep.
Oh, George. Okay.
Other account for the black sheep brand. And
Uh,
that's another thing we're doing. So it's like not only do I have my shop, so yeah, there's just been so much going on. So I have the shop, but it's called bitcoinnova.store, my website. But I love that it's not just a website for shopping. It's not just a store. It has what you showed where the live speaking event coming up in, in Ohio. And then it has a section to find my podcasts, my newest episodes, like the playlist. And then it also has spotlight. Like I love the spotlight section. So then I could show my microseed referral code or, my link there. I have like, everything linked or either the code showing for the brands that
there
I'm
you go.
related with or support. So it's got a whole section for all that stuff. And then it's got the Bitcoin Black Sheep brand there too. It's got Fug'em, I know you had on there.
Bitcoin cousin was
Yeah. So I have my favorite, companies and products on the website. I have Sweet Biddy there. She's got her YouTube channel and she's even got a Spotify I should add to. She did that because I requested it. So I love her music.
no and trust.
Yeah, so it's and that whole website too is something that, I had never designed a website, and I just kind of learned it with the help of AI, of course, but you can do a lot if you just try something, so I mean, and it came out awesome. I love how it looks with the, and see you click Biddy's link, right? And it took you right there.
Yeah, I was just bringing them up. I got Bitcoin Black Sheep. I had Biddy's music up on here. She makes a lot of little shorts and nice, quite artistic, creative stuff.
Shout outs for community and stuff like that, so she's great. But yeah, we got the Bitcoin Way, I think, on there too, and I've got Satoshis. There's just so many good ones, and I'm just gonna keep adding to it and, just I always figure out, like, more ways that I can highlight, projects or people or, those are the Satoshis are amazing. I love it. He's got cool hoodies too, but the designs are amazing. He makes custom shoes too. So even if people want to customize, he
There's
helps
Hal.
with that. Yep, there's Hal. I love those. And he's got one pair that you just I think it's that first graffiti looking one there. It's like the paranoid Bitcoin anarchist on it.
Oh, there you go.
So it kind of matches my community theme.
Yeah, which I love, by the way. Down in there now, I've got the kind of a job where I have to remain professional and measured, even as I have internal thoughts, as some people may relate. Down inside, I have a little closet anarchist part of me in the Fed, all that, which doesn't translate in normie world when I'm navigating meat space and my profession. It's like, you have to dose people properly or just keep it separate because it doesn't fit.
Well, the
Or
reason
like,
for
yeah,
me, it's kind of like the name of Paranoid Bitcoin Anarchist, like the community name is sort of like a joke to myself in a way because I do feel like you do. Sometimes I look at the world and I think, how long before people start revolting? Like, how much can they take? How much pain?
we're getting
Um,
there.
yeah. So I
With
think
the
like
stuff in
that.
Minnesota and some of the and just the
Yeah.
it's one thing after another, it's like, my god, people are feeling done with this bullshit.
Yeah. Even the attack on Bitcoin and Samurai Wallet, that whole
Totally.
thing, it's like, they're building privacy tools for Bitcoin and then they're being attacked for it. Like, how much more do people take before something happens? But at the same time, when people like normies look at you and they hear you talking about Bitcoin, they think you're just paranoid or you just want to tear down the system or you're just an anarchist or they look at you like you're crazy, but really
My
it's
mom might have her own concerns of like, "Okay, I worry about you," and I'm like, "I know, but I get it." So,
yeah.
like, here, quick comment from, MS Byte. Okay, I had a dream that people with BTC logos were hunted down, an OG from 2012. Basically, people there's a reason Satoshi went underground and went hiding because he'd be locked up like samurai right now or have been suicided, I would say. And that's my crazy hat coming on here is that there's a reason he knew from the beginning that OPSEC was important. And then meanwhile, now we've evolved and grown as a community, importantly, I would say, but putting ourselves out there, I don't want to say courageously, but just saying, hey,
It is.
be proud. Like, yes, I'm a Bitcoiner.
I'm going to put myself out there and create a podcast. I might as well wear a Bitcoin product, supporting freedom and hope. It's like you're kind of sharing the signal by wearing it. You're kind of putting it out there to sort of get people thinking, sort of like a little orange pill seed. But if you're going to be out there showing your face, people know who you are. What's the difference if you wear Bitcoin clothing or Bitcoin shoes if they already know who you are? And if in that case, we wouldn't have Bitcoin spreading if we didn't have people like Jack Mullers, like Jack Dorsey, like Natalie Brunell, like Jeff Booth, like anyone who talks publicly about Bitcoin has courageously put themselves out there. They have done that already. Anyone who's doing it now, I feel, yes, it is courageous. And so many people think, oh my gosh, why would you do that? I'd rather stay underground. But that's how you get people. Like, if we want Bitcoin, if we know Bitcoin is going where it's going, and we don't want to live in a world where we're living on top of a hill looking down at the rest of the world that's sad and depressed and we want people to get in on this. We want people to also you want your family, your friends to be okay. You have to speak up about it, and it's kind of like your duty. I don't know, like that's not the world I want to live in. So I want to try, what I
Yes.
can to spread the word and to teach about it and share why it's so great. But yeah, if you had nobody writing the books, if you didn't have Safedine writing his book, if you didn't have people sharing their knowledge and having their real name out there, doing that is the same as wearing a Bitcoin hoodie, I think.
Right.
And
Yeah.
you
And
have to be out
it's like managing your personal life, managing your friends and your family and your circle and strangers. Given that you live your life, you do what you're going to do. You're going to have opinions. Is it? I mean, we have free speech, right? Putting yourself out there, being authentic and honest and true, and managing the FUD and the flack and the like. You shouldn't be doing that. It's like, really, we can have that conversation, but like, why? What are you getting into? I bring up, so I have a copy of the Cypherpunks manifesto that I've done a video on it, but anyway, I got a copy of that, and he speaks to not just secrecy, like, well, like, what is this, criminal? Like, you have to be secret? No, it's about privacy.
right.
You have layers of privacy. I have my public life, I have my professional work life, I have my personal life and my family life, and Bitcoin integrates through like all of it, but I have to manage how I thread that. And in some places, I'm very vocal and opinionated. In other areas, I'm very careful, or I just don't go there, depending on the audience.
Right.
You'll have people that are new to Bitcoin and they hear that you're into Bitcoin and they don't know anything about it and they
Mhm.
don't see it as maybe important in the same way. And I've had people just be like, so you must have a lot of Bitcoin. How much Bitcoin do you have? Because they're not thinking in terms of maybe the privacy aspect to it. It'd be like, what's your net wealth?
Mhm.
How much money do you have in your bank account?
Right.
Aren't these weird questions? It's not the number go up for me. It's a very broad, deep human freedom tech that is, I
Yeah.
think, I see a golden future. So,
Or you have someone attack you to try to get your seed phrase, or you have somebody like the government who openly attacks you every day and steals your money from you through inflation. And just like you're being robbed, like either you have a chance of being robbed by wearing a Bitcoin thing and people might know that you're a Bitcoiner. You don't know how much that person has. You don't know how many seed phrases they contain or own. You don't know any of that. So yeah, I could have like $20 in Bitcoin. You never know what anybody has. You could have lost your seed phrase in a boating accident, that whole thing. But nobody knows what anyone has. And the whole point of Bitcoin that's great is that, yeah, if you're attacked and, even if they don't believe that that's your seed phrase and you must have another one and that's all the Bitcoin you have, it's like, okay, well, then if you know, take me out, then you're not getting it anyway, So it's kind of like that's what I love about Bitcoin. You can't actually steal it. And if one country wants to attack another country for their Bitcoin, they can't take it. You can't physically take it.
Totally.
Yeah, that's what I think is great. And I think that and it's just one of those things that I don't know. It's like it is. I keep going back to the bravery thing. Like it's brave to speak about it and it's important to speak about it. It's important to teach people about it because you want to see a better world.
I think it's important that we're talking about it as it enters the mainstream. Everyone's early, but it's nothing to hide. These are important conversations to have. I mean, and I just encourage more and more plebs out there to walk through the open door. The water's getting hot and the frogs are like, you feel it? You feel it yet? There's no lid on top. You can escape or you can build your escape raft. I just encourage people to start and don't give into the FUD. There's so
Right.
much propaganda that's about it sells, it's fear, it's
Mhm.
hate, it's anger, all the FUD or reasons to wait to be told what's the safe route to take. What's been approved.
And
And it
also,
yeah,
by doing that, by not being afraid and by showing that you are a Bitcoiner in real life, you're planting those seeds. You're not advertising that you have a lot of Bitcoin by wearing Bitcoin things or just having a little signal that you wear orange or whatever it is. You're showing people that you stand for freedom and you stand for hope, and this is like something that if people start seeing that in the real world more, they might be like, okay, why are all these people wearing Bitcoin things? Why do I keep seeing that? Maybe I should check it out. It's just like if everyone hides and is scared, I don't know. I just think that's not the right way to go about it. I think that that's what makes the system think that we're underground, scared people that are still afraid. It's like this is the time. I think now is the
yeah,
time.
yeah. Bitcoin's almost Bitcoin's a teenager now, turned 17 years old. It'll be an adult next year, fully legal adult in a year. It's time and it's something to be proud of. Bitcoin did was changed a fundamental rule in a story as long as human history, which is simply systemic theft from people, stealing people's time and work and energy. Now, I'm not giving financial advice or tax advice of any kind. You have to live your life and stay safe out there, folks.
Mhm.
But Bitcoin changed the rule. And a lot of people don't even see that or know what it is as Bitcoin's roots grow into the established system. It is creating a great realignment in the system. Now, the traditional system is grappling with how to manage it or capture it or control it or how can we? No,
I think I have this crazy thought. I don't know if I should share it here. Is that okay?
it's up to you. I'm good for anything personally, and it's purely what you want to disclose.
So I'll just say this, I'll try to sum it up, but I just had these thoughts lately about Bitcoin and physics and how Bitcoin is tied to physics and sort of thinking about how, we think we know everything we do about, the universe and how physics works, but I think Bitcoin is sort of this, compounding thing, right? It's the way that it's it builds over time and it's exponential growth. Uh, and I just remember recently hearing about this discovery with the James Webb Telescope, where they realized that there's a mismatch in the way that we understand how physics works in the universe because the early universe expanded a lot more slowly than the part we're in now, the current time as it is.
Right.
And I was just like thinking about Bitcoin and time and physics and all these things and just thinking about everything that they think about the universe is that it's this constant thing, but it compounds. It's almost like the speed of things is speeding up, and that's why the time doesn't match, like how the universe grew versus how it does. And when you think of Bitcoin matching physics, the way it really works, not what we thought it did in science or in physics, it's a compounding effect. So it's like the early Bitcoin or the early universe grew slowly, and then it grows faster as it compounds through time. And I think that's just what space does. So that's just kind of my
Bitcoin is that store of thermodynamic energy, to allude to a sailor metaphor that he brought up. That's where I first heard that, was sailor describing Bitcoin from an engineering perspective of a store of energy through proof of work. And I was like, I had that was one of my early aha moments, like, oh my gosh, it makes sense. It's immutable. It's a store of work and time and energy. And then alluding to our laws of physics generally, it's like the more we peer out into this vast universe, and it just our brains cannot handle it. It's larger. It's like this the number of seed phrases or wallet addresses that can exist. The concept of like damn near infinity is like hard to grapple with. The math works, cryptography being amazing and freeing. And so with Keynesian economics, what we were building in history, in human studies around economics and monetary systems, even as it was kind of chartalist and oriented around governments or maybe business, but taxation and human value and extraction, Keynesian economics eroded any language we had about what makes sense in economics, because all of a sudden the money supply is just kind of like whatever. And we're trying to give it reasons on why this and why that, and the mystical animal spirits behind it all, or tinkering with interest rates, tinkering with supply, liquidity, all the games around it. And we've lost that static variable of sound money. So then people get lost in the economics of what makes sense anymore. Bitcoin can add a mathematical framework to economics, where suddenly framed in Bitcoin, economics can make sense. We can have a language in math applied to economics that now can translate to Austrian economics and other things, but suddenly economics can start to make sense again. And people have to, like, you know, relearn what they learned in Harvard doing macroeconomics all over, because the Seyfedin Amu has spoken to this, but you go through school and you learn all the Keynesian things and you come out of it thinking like, I know about economics, and you've been propagandized.
Yeah. And that's why I think the whole proof of work being rooted in physics is because it's energy rooted in proof of work. I think you said what Sailor said. But, you think of Bitcoin as time, and that's what we think of Bitcoin as this new clock. But if time is really space time, everyone says that those are together. So space is a place in time. And that's what Bitcoin has, this ledger where it stamps that in a place in time. Like it ties space time together, it ties physics together. So you can't just have inflation forever, how I guess people thought things could work or will work, but that's not how the universe works. It works through proof of work, through space time, through tying those things together. And Bitcoin does that. So it's like the way Bitcoin works teaches you how kind of nature works, and stuff like that.
Yeah, so we were born in a world of fiat, and that's everything we live and breathe. It's just invisible to us. And then the price of things go up, and we tie it to various things or make it political. Anyway, yeah, making it sound money, sound math. All of a sudden, it's like, oh my goodness, like
Yeah.
Bitcoin is hope. I've had epiphany after epiphany on this rabbit trail. And even like to this day, it's like, as I've said, mathematically, as the radius of my circle of knowledge expands, the circumference of what realize I have yet to learn, or I realize, oh my gosh, here's a new frontier that I know little about. And you're always learning. So it keeps you smart.
Connecting dots and, yeah, making connections with thoughts is it's a lot of fun to do, and that's why, I love Bitcoin because it takes you out of that endless tunnels that you were, traveling through in the rabbit hole. You find the Bitcoin rabbit hole, and now you just kind of hang out there and just find different connections through that, connections through people, connections through, projects, all these different things that I love being in that rabbit hole without having to waste my time on the endless other rabbit holes that don't matter. I mean,
There's
just manipulate. I don't know. It's just a
there's
waste.
plenty of distraction out there for sure. Things to get wrapped up in or dramatized about and blackpilled if you let it. I wanted to get back to, I mentioned so marriage, love, a spouse. As a Bitcoiner, anyone who has family or say is married like we are, you are lucky, but a lot of viewers may relate to the feeling where you're a Bitcoiner and you get really excited, and it starts to consume a lot of your thought, and you start talking Bitcoin all the time, or you're spending time on it literally, and your spouse is supportive and loves you and may not be against Bitcoin, but is either kind of paying attention to the extent that they can, they're their own person. They're learning on their own. They may have a different dosage interest than you. So like for me and my wife, I know when I've gone too far, when I've been talking, and I've gone a little bit like because I'm some esoteric thing maybe, and
Mhm.
she'll be like interested and then maybe less interested, and I have to like dose her with how much like it's not this narcissistic thing for me, but I just want to share it. Who found Bitcoin first, you or Black Sheep?
It was me. I found it first. And I think because I don't know, like I had a cousin who would talk to me about it and, he just started planting seeds and then just during COVID I kind of just started to ask more questions. And I'm pretty ADD, but I'm also like hyper focused, because of that too. So I get obsessed about something. So when I got my eyes on Bitcoin, I just kept learning and way more into it than my cousin now, by a lot, but he opened the door for me and then I would talk to my husband about it. I would talk to George and he totally understood it. He understands it, but I would just give him so much information at once. Like you said, dosing is important because I would just take everything. I was so excited and things I learned and, lies that I found out about, and I would try to just tell him everything. But it was like, we spend hours on this. We can't just dump it on somebody in like 5 minutes because it's a lot to take in. They can't process it.
Sure.
So I think you just have to be like better about just not sounding crazy, but he never thought I was crazy. He's like, "I like everything you're saying, it's just a lot," So I was like,
Yeah.
"Okay, I have to back off a little bit." But that's why I would just post. I would make posts about thoughts I had and things, and I would do that before on Twitter. But I definitely talked to him about it a good amount, and he was so good and patient, and he understood. But he's like, kind of like, "Okay, you got this. You're so into it, and I know it. So just I believe you, and he was just like, I'm not gonna, he works full time. He has a second, he sings, he does all this stuff, he's very busy.
Mhm.
And, so he just trusted that I did the work, and I was putting in the work and he believes, and he understands it. So, but I know that it can come off like craziness when you can't stop talking about it to people. He was happy I started the podcast so I could talk to more Bitcoiners about it so I can get
Yeah.
that out of my system. So that was another outlet for me. And I just think that, one thing I have that I think is pretty awesome is that I have a guest coming up on my show. It's Sean Clark from Good Day Bitcoin. I'm gonna be putting out his episode soon, but something he said was great. He said he blackmailed his wife to learn about Bitcoin. And I thought it was the coolest thing ever because he had her listen to the big print on. I don't want to give it all away, but I'm just gonna.
Heard this story. I
Have
had Sean on
you?
my podcast, and
Did
anyway, yes.
you?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm sure people have heard it too, but it was the funniest thing ever. How I was like, "That's what you need to do, people. Blackmail your spouses." I was like, "Tell them you won't go on that trip if they listen to the big print," because that's what really got her to be like, "Okay, I get it. Thank you for doing this." So it's just a great story because she understood how like why he's doing it. It's not just you talking; it's somebody just you have to listen to a full book. You have to put in the work and at least read it or listen to it or something. So
And everyone's relationship is their own to manage,
right,
uh,
I know, I'm like,
comedically,
blackmail.
but, "Honey, if you get off 0, I'll finally clean the garage. Hey, honey, if you read this book, I'll take you out to dinner," or whatever. But yeah,
Maybe it's not
um,
blackmail, maybe it's incentive.
yeah, yeah, uh,
So,
yeah. Not relationship advice, folks, but
yeah, right?
everyone feels it, but it is you feel blessed when you have a spouse who at least is supportive and open-minded and appreciates the time that you might put into it, even just for you. And then, so like, yeah, you're on a Bitcoin journey, you've got all this energy. You can't just grind away on your wife or your kids or what have you, a friend who you can turn people off because they're just like, okay, like enough, you're crazy. But having an outlet, I started with, I had to write stuff down and I'd read books and then I would post a little bit and then Daniel and I would just hit record. And then like Jeff Booth has kind of said, I kind of like you're doing something like what's kind of the next thing you can do? And I would just think about that. Kind of what's the next thing I can do? And it's not just what Bitcoin can do for you, what can you do for Bitcoin? But for me personally, the reward being it's cathartic, it's an outlet, it's a hobby where I'm learning and I'm building skills and then connecting with other people and getting other people out there as well. I've had people on this show that had never been on a podcast or were kind of shy about it. And I'm like, it's cool. It's
Yeah.
casual. It's great. As Bitcoiners, you're not alone and you have a story to tell. Easiest question is just like, how did it start with you? How did you get off zero? What's your Bitcoin story? Everyone's got that story. We can relate to it and it just makes it fun and it's cathartic. So,
Even what you said about, what he said is, I don't know who started off saying it, but not what Bitcoin can do for you, but what you could do for Bitcoin. That's the important part about having people on the show that have never spoken before on a show or spoken publicly is that's how I started my podcast. Somebody asked me to be on a show and I didn't know what I had to offer as far I know a lot about Bitcoin, but I'm not a finance or tech expert. So I was nervous and shy and I second guessed it, but I did it and through the support of my husband, I did it. And I'm so glad I did and I'm so glad she asked me. It was Paula from the Bitcoin Edge. And
yeah.
she had me on our show for the first time, and by her doing that, it rippled out to me now sharing more content, and every person that does speak out could end up being a future speaker or a future educator or a future creator that does things in the real world that shows that spreads, Bitcoin knowledge or adoption or just kind of plants seeds for people. And I think all of that is what can you do for Bitcoin? So I think having new people that haven't spoken, growing this voice that we have, and amplifying the Bitcoin signal and bringing more people into it so that they can, enjoy it too.
Yeah, encouraging and supporting, propping up others and encouraging them. I wanted to bring up, and it reminds me of looking at your Bitcoin Nova store is that, and I'll just read this real quick right on your website here that for years behind the chair, you watched people open up the real stories, the light bulb moments, the sparks when something finally clicks. You wanted to bring that feeling to Bitcoin, not technical, not intimidating, just human, warm, curious, and real. And Bitcoin gives people that same mind blowing shift, a supernova moment where everything finally makes sense. And that's why you created Bitcoin Nova, a place where conversations feel honest and alive, where your energy shifts and things click on the inside. That was inspiring to me in a way. That's my approach because that imposter syndrome I would have is that like the people I followed online, it's like these people are like smarter than me. I mean, they're like geniuses. I'm not a trad fi bro. I don't know all the, all this and that and the other things you can do, all the micro strategies. And it's just like, you know what? I may be an 80% ape. Stay humble, stack sats, but Bitcoin is a gestalt of so much more than that. Like I know some of the tech. I mean, I have some computer science background, but I am not like a coder, let alone like intricate into the Bitcoin code. I get a lot of it, but you can feel like, man, what do I know? Or whether it's finance, economics, maybe it's history, maybe it's the technical coding stuff. You're going to find all your like limitations and be like, well, I don't really know stuff. I tell you what people want. And I've had people from the art community on here, like the Bitcoin Art Magazine has come out recently. When I go to conferences and there's the Bitcoin Gallery, the art gallery, and crafts and trades, and so much going on around Bitcoin that is and should be in a golden age. That's like 99% of just being human. It's
Right.
about relationships are primary,
Mhm.
the connection, this world we share, the passion and energy we have, the stories we have to tell. It's not like, oh, number go up and this and that and technical. I mean, you can get that out there, folks. What
See,
we're doing is the relationship stuff.
yeah, and I think what you're doing and the kind of content creators that you and I are, um, anyone who is like us, who is not feeling like they belong or should be doing it, it's like we're doing it because I think people like us are the bridges. We're at a time right now where the people that were the more people that we look up to that have all that knowledge and maybe so much technical or financial advice that we are the type of people who found it and could take all that information in, but then convert it to the regular person. So I think
Yeah.
that we're a bridge to bringing others in that would resonate with a regular person, that they
Yeah.
would find interesting or connect with in a different way.
Yeah, and so yeah, you're connecting a huge number of people, and people want to express that. People want to put value for value. I'll throw up the stage here your online store. So you have a lot of products up. You can go to bitcoinnova.store. You can see a lot of the products here: the hoodies, hats, your logos. You got the paranoid Bitcoin anarchists badge on there, which is awesome. I love the design on that. Hoodies and shirts, the mug, a lot of different stuff you have on here, which people can express themselves and
The thing I like about some of them is that, like the logo hoodies that say Nova Hope on them, because Bitcoin is hope and like that Nova moment or that
yeah.
one moment. But on the back, I have the QR code to the channel,
Okay.
and it's just kind of like one of those things that, hey, if you have a podcast or you have merch, like maybe if somebody sees a QR code, then be like, oh, what is that? And just click on it. Maybe, you know what I mean? Maybe it'll get one person, you know what I mean? Just anybody that might do it, that it might help, or maybe, you just never
Yeah.
know. So I just think it's kind of like, scan this code, check it out. Like, what is help? What does that mean? And then
To
find people you connect with or find maybe an answer you've been looking for.
yeah, and so, like, when I started on Bitcoin, all I had was the podcasts initially, and then I'd get a book, and then you still it's like, well, in my town, I think I'm the only one, am I? I don't know, and then it turns out, no, I wasn't,
Yeah.
and then we'd make some meetups, and we'd find others, but basically, if anyone out there is a Bitcoiner ever felt alone, which a lot of them probably shouldn't because they're part of the Bitcoin army or the paranoid Bitcoin anarchists, or they're watching the pods and they're seeing you. And it may be that a lot of your community is online and virtual, kind of like your money may be. But finding that connection, finding those relationships, knowing truly that you're not alone at all. If anyone ever felt that way, you're
Yeah.
part of a very large and growing community. And I'll just tell you, a lot of cool people too. The first conference I went to, I guess it was in Miami in 2023. Then I went to some others, but I kind of just went on a whim, like, well, I need a vacation. I'm a little worn out. Might as well make it kind of something fun for me. And I wasn't thinking I'm going for reasons and I'm going to like, I feel like I know Bitcoin. I can read the books. I can watch it online. Sure. Why not? I'll just go to a conference. And like I mentioned, I was refreshingly very surprised at the people I met, the networking that happened, the cool just milling around floaters and stuff, and I would catch talks. There were times where there'd be a talk happening, but okay, I've seen them 100 times and it's cool and all, but I don't want to get into the crowd and get my seat and see it again, or I'll rationalize and I'll catch it later online because I'm having great conversations and an experience here on the floor, just networking and sharing relationships. It was so much more than just the technical. Here's the speakers, here's the booths, here's the things. Cool. And it was so much more than all that.
I agree. It was like that for me too. My first conference was the Vegas conference this past year. And, being around that energy, just being around so many people that are, into Bitcoin or understand Bitcoin, it was just, you could feel like, I don't know, I just felt so happy being there. It just felt like I wanted to be around that more. So
Yeah.
I think that's what led to, doing, having our own Bitcoin meetup, here, and it was amazing. And even before that, going to my first orange, from the Orange Pill app, which is Club Orange
Oh
now.
yeah.
I told my husband about some local ones before we had our own, and he was down for it. He said, "Let's go. Let's." So after being around the Bitcoin conference, he was like, "That was cool. Let's go hang out with some more Bitcoin people. Let's see how it is." And I remember pulling up to that one for the first time and being so nervous because even though once I get around people that I could talk to, it's great. I'm very talkative and it's fun. But when I first pulled up, we didn't see, like, we are driving past. I'm like, I don't see anybody there, but they were like in the outside, I guess, like in the patio area. So I just thought like nobody was there. And I was like, maybe there's only a few people there. And I was almost like, it's okay, let's go home. I was trying to like convince my husband to just go. Like, we're like, we don't have to stay. It's, like, I don't think anyone's there anyway. So I think I was trying to talk myself out of it, but he's like, "We're gonna go inside. Let's just go in and see what's going on." And there was a whole bunch of people outside, and it was awesome. And I loved every conversation I had. It was great. And now I've gone to that a few times. they have a monthly meetup here. So I enjoy going when we can. But it's just funny how I was terrified. Like I was kind of scared. And every meetup I've done since then has been the best.
Yeah, and what I like about the diversity of your podcast, making it accessible to whatever path they're on their Bitcoin journey, people can feel brand new or they can feel overconfident about it or they can be like an OG. And what I like about your podcast here is that if I go to your playlist, let's go to your playlist here. You have a variety here where you're building up Bitcoin basics, so shorter ones, beautifully narrated, and so people can learn. You've got your spotlights. You've had some heavy hitters on there, Jeff Booth, and like recently Adam Hill with Start Nine. And did you have Larry Lepard?
Yeah, yeah, I had
Yeah,
Larry, I had Natalie Vernell,
yeah.
James Lavish was on there. Um, I don't know, just a bunch, so many great people. But yeah, that's just like a section for people to see, yeah, I have talked to some of your favorites um yeah, it's even that spotlight section that's Bitcoin Bull from the Bitcoin Army. He's made some amazing,
Beautiful videos.
yeah, like music and just the animations. I don't know how he created those, but it's
One, I not to interrupt, but the one for the Mexican magician, shout out to Mexican magician, by the way.
yeah,
Uh,
first one I put up here.
oh my gosh, it was I mean, what a life story music video to have. I mean, super
Yeah.
shout out. I mean, anyway,
Kind of inspiration that, like, I
totally.
wanna highlight. Like, I wanna highlight him, Bitcoin Bull 21, I don't know if it's 2134, I hate to, like, be wrong about the numbers, but of his username, but I tagged him in that video, so if you look at the playlist, he's tagged in it, but it's just the inspiration that the community shares with each other. They're inspired by you, so they create something to show that and kind of like give you a gift. It's like presents by using their time to do things, and it's really special. So I just
Totally.
want to make sure that his work stays, because sometimes on X things can kind of get lost, and people won't be able to find it again. So I'm like, I asked his permission, and I'll tag you in it, but I just want to put it out there so people can see it more and see what incredible things you do for them, so it just doesn't get lost. But even
Bitcoin Bull 2134. I just tossed
that's
it up
it.
there.
Okay. I wasn't completely sure, but yeah, then I have my Hive Minded, which I'm so glad you watched because I think those are so much fun. I love
They're
every podcast
cathartic as
I do.
well. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I love every podcast I do, but the panel is something that's just like kind of like I let loose, I we all banter. It's hilarious. Like we end up like having deep conversations, but also laughing a ton.
Yeah.
And it's just a place where we could just be ourselves and have a good time and forget about like being too serious. So it's great. I'm glad you're liking it. And there's some really good points that we've made on those that, like, I don't know. It's amazing. I could watch those over and over again. So I'm glad you're enjoying them. And Women in Bitcoin, I think I have there.
Yep.
You know, so just like, I mean, just there's guys on that playlist too. It's like just because I'm a woman interviewing a male, so but mainly it's like my female guests are on that playlist. So you could see more women doing things in Bitcoin.
Yeah. So you've got basically a variety for anybody's orientation, interest, short to long, creative to long form. People can find what they like. You got your affiliates on there. Hey, look at that. There's
Yeah.
Microshi. That's the
Favorite
Bitcoin
part.
Nova podcast shorts and the library of all of it. So anyway, it's a good variety for anyone approaching it, and they find their own version of interest. A lot of people like I can tune into a long form thing, and in the background, just be as I'm multitasking or whatever, I can listen, and I love the long form stuff, the banter and the BS and the hive mind. And you've got anywhere from 4 to 6 people joining in, buddies and friends, having fun with it, playing those funny Seranto videos.
I'm so
videos.
glad. They're so much fun. It's oh, we got some good ones lined up coming up too. But he's just like we found actually a whole universe of people. I don't know. I don't want to give it away, but it's really fun to kind of like sort of like kind of dissect sort of the thinking process behind the creative process and just have a laugh. Laughter is the best medicine uh and why not? Like we can laugh about things, it's okay to joke. I don't think enough people
Yeah.
joke anymore and laugh about stuff. It's too much fun. Yeah,
I
so
found
I'm
a
so
quote
glad
of
you love those parts because that's really where we just get the stomach ache at the end and we really just have a good time.
yeah, because in the end, it's like you're friends, you're human. Stuff is going on in the Bitcoin world day by day, and at the end of the week, you put in, your work part of it and your creative part of it and your guests, and it's nice. It's kind of a change of pace to be able to, like for me and Daniel, it's like I'll put in stuff through the week, and then on a Saturday we can sync up and just kind of not exactly have an agenda. I might have some ideas in mind or what happened this week, but sometimes I show up and it's like, well, what's been going on lately? and
Yeah,
and it's not just Bitcoin. It can meander into like our jobs, or sometimes it's politics and history.
right.
He's writing a book right now, which I will just say he Daniel wrote one book called The Great Realignment. It's on my shelf back there, but kind of puts a frame on history and what Bitcoin is doing to a traditional system we've grown up with, and how Bitcoin changes things. And it breaks a mental frame about what you think a Bitcoin is and what Bitcoin can do. And he's working on another book right now, as yet perhaps to be titled, but he's well through it. I will tell you, it's paradigm shifting. It's deep, deep origins of not just, it answers the question, what is money?
Mhm.
Because the word money, people have a sense of what money is, the characteristics and behaviors of what
Totally.
is money. It's even before we had coins or the need for a liquidity in barter. It goes back to just when we created agriculture and started to be fixed in space time on a
Mhm.
field, or you might hunt around, but we went from being nomadic to kind of more fixed in place. And then we accumulated security in harvest seasons and grain storage, and then who's contributing or who's not, and survival. And in that, from a deep, deep level, were technologies such as language and math and a ledger where you're keeping track of stuff, and how basically the need for money evolved from the need for communication and tracking in time on a ledger. From that came money, but all the way down, it goes back to competitive resource capture and control, rationing out, but then ultimately tracking debt and making good on debt. And anyway,
It's coming
you
up
had
what?
Ian on your podcast.
Yes.
So as you know, like deep thinker, I not so much joking, but like I'll just joke. I mean, he's smarter than I am. He writes books, and we'll have conversations. And lucky for me, I can have ideas, and then he'll jump on that and take it into, here's all the thoughts on history and economics about that. And I having the right connections and people like that in your life where you can bounce stuff off people, and maybe you give them something and they give you back ideas, creativity, inspiration, thought.
Yes. So that's why I think I like to share thoughts that I have because I'm like you, like I'll say something that I'm like, maybe you'll take something from this, maybe not. But then people can go and run with it and have maybe write a book about something. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Like I'm a regular person, but I have ideas on connecting things and dots in the world. And but I wouldn't write a book on it. So that's leave that job to someone else who's great at that. And I just love to contribute to the conversation. But yeah, that whole thing about uh, just decompressing and listening to when you know so much about Bitcoin, you're always learning, like you said, and we're always finding out new things. And but I think that one thing I realized about the Bitcoin meetup that we had, meeting people in real life, like cousin, like Jeeves, that came out here, it was something that we noticed that we didn't even talk about Bitcoin that much. Like, we were just talking about anything else. Like, we were just laughing and talking about I don't know what. We had the best time ever, but it wasn't always like barely about Bitcoin. So that's what the hive minded is. It's like a Bitcoin meetup. We already understand it. We touch on Bitcoin and how like maybe ideas we're having, we kind of turn it back into how that connects to Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Mainly it's just like Bitcoiners hanging out. Like we already get it. We're just talking and we're just having a good time. And because of your episode that you did with cousin, and I
Oh,
saw that you were live on X. I've been wanting to go live on X and I didn't know that you could do that from the software I use.
oh yeah.
So because of your live Bitcoin Liberty Live and seeing you on there, told me how to do it. And I did my first Hive Minded episode last time we did one. It was live on X and YouTube, which is like what you're doing. So you inspired me to make that transition.
Awesome.
And it was so much fun doing it because then people can be involved more. They can chat like they're doing now. And I love that.
Yeah, you make these kinds of business decisions and we have our fiat monkey brain and you want the numbers. You want your own personal brand number go up and totally get it. And I had to think through ideas where like I'll just check right now like yeah, like on X. Okay, so we're streaming live right now on X. I've known people to say, "Hey, you want, trying to unpuzzle the puzzle of the algorithm or you never know what's going to pop." And it's like, okay, where is the money? Is X returning good enough or is it YouTube or Google? Maybe you want people like you want to direct people just to YouTube, like focus on YouTube. I thought about that kind of stuff and then I thought, you know what? I mean, I'm new, I'm early. I'll see where it goes. I'm not too, I don't know what, maybe business smart about it, but I'm just going to put it out there everywhere because I just want people to engage and start.
Mhm.
And so I'm not monetized on X. I'm not a great regular poster, which is kind of a goal of mine this year is to get better at the posting because I'll lurk a lot and then I'll post videos and repost stuff and comment, but I'm not like a big post content creator. But
I I feel like, and it was nowhere near for me personally. It was nowhere near
Mhm.
getting close to being monetized on X. That's kind of like you have to like get those viral comments, I think, in order to like get that much engagement. And even, I don't know, I just don't think it's worth the time that you have to take to try to post and engage that much. Cause I engage a lot with people, but it's not on those trending. I don't know. Like I tried for a little while and I gave up on it. It was taking up so much time and I got nowhere near. So for me, it's more about, again, the expectation thing, but just I do it because I love it. I would like people who are my friends on X or people I've met to be able to listen, just to have a good time. It's more about like being part of it and kind of like just to make their night better or something. If you're like having a fun night, just why not join and you could say something to or just hang out with us. So it's
Yeah.
more like that for me. But I think as far as monetizing, yeah, it'd be great to monetize on YouTube. I'm pretty much finally reaching that milestone, I think this month. And it's exciting because it's like you put in all this work and you're going to get paid, but who knows how YouTube is with monetization. It's probably like whatever it is. I'm just happy that the channel's even gotten where it is. I'm happy anyone's watching, like I said at the beginning.
Yeah, I figured, I'm gonna try to find an app that allows me to multi-stream. I started with like Rumble Studio, worked
Mhm.
decently, but then not I think not on X too well. And then I use StreamYard now and it allows me to do kind of all the things. And I just figured, you know what? Until I do grow larger or it makes more sense to maybe focus in a direction,
Mm.
I just want to get it out there. So, like, what I
Right.
wanted was, yeah, I want this accessible, easily available on X. And so,
Mm.
yeah, we can stream on X and YouTube and like Rumble as we are now.
Mm.
And then I just figure, hey, I'd rather just people be able to find it and be able to tune in wherever they're at.
Yeah,
So,
that's amazing. Yeah, because I tried I think through my software, I tried doing I found something called Restream that you can stream to multiple places,
res-
but I was doing it on Twitch because I'm like, "Oh, a lot of people stream on Twitch, like live stream stuff." But I have 0 audience on Twitch. I never use Twitch. I don't go on there. So X is where all my people are. So that's why that makes sense to do YouTube. That's where my channel is. And then that's where all my friends are is on X. So, and also the other thing is I do have a separate channel for the Hive Minded. And the reason I did that was I didn't want to make it confusing, but I just thought that if somebody, I know I have the playlist section on my main channel, but I made the Hive Minded channel because if people just want that type of content, they don't have to be notified every time I post anything else. They could just, it's a separate channel, it's a separate vibe. So it could be all that stuff without 100 other videos mixed in between. It could just be that. So I just thought it'd be cool to have its own place.
I was just looking for the hive minded. On X, it looked like I couldn't get to the profile, maybe, but
Hive Minded 21.
hive minded 21. Um, Now, real quick, Sweet Biddy threw something up here. Don't miss MOTBC tonight at 7 p.m. I'm not familiar
Yeah.
with that one. What is that?
They're doing some it's kind of like bringing more people into Bitcoin through storytelling, sort of like they're doing like these really cool it's like fictional stories and, it's like Paper Street. I think it's called Paper Street Bitcoin. I'm sorry if I'm wrong, but
Yeah.
I love what they're doing. I've tuned in. I've listened to it on Spotify. So it's just kind of like because people love stories. They love like even I don't know, just thinking about the story like a Bitcoin story, the story of Satoshi or somebody creating like a fictional, like a narrative out of it. I think they're creating just something that could be like lore, like Bitcoin lore, almost sort of that sort of feel. So just for people who just want to listen to fiction but have it be Bitcoin based and maybe that'll bring in a different audience too. So but yeah, I don't know if they're doing it live if it's tonight at 7 or if they're just doing a space. So we'll have to check that out.
Okay. Cool. And then what I'll do here is bear with me as I navigate my own platform that I'm,
So okay.
as I'm not a professional Bitcoiner podcaster here. So your X feed, you can be found on X at X Stacy with a one for the I. X
Yeah.
Stacy.
The I
Uh,
was taken, sadly.
so okay, here's Hive Minded 21.
Mhm.
That's what I was checking on. I clicked on that. I
Oh,
maybe
it didn't work?
something changed. Anyway,
Oh.
uh, just
Uh,
just looking at that.
okay.
Hive Minded. You have a Hive Minded group, and it's on YouTube.
Yeah.
And your Bitcoin Nova store, your feed. I've loved your feed. You've got there's mine.
Mm.
So much good quality content, guests, and thoughts you've had. The Bitcoin Army. I will just say, if you're not a member of the Bitcoin Army, you can join the Bitcoin Army community here. I only learned about the Bitcoin Army this past summer, and like I said, I'm not a prolific poster, and I'll comment sometimes or repost, but I'm not like I don't have my presence on the post so much. But on the Bitcoin Army, you can connect with a lot of like-minded folks, and it's a way to have that instead of just trying to rely on the your news feed or the algorithm or try to seek it out through who you follow. You can go to the Bitcoin Army, and all the members here are a more trusted, tighter circle of based Bitcoiners. So you can connect with all kinds, and that's how I found members of the Hive and your podcast and others on the Bitcoin Army. So
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I'm so happy to hear that because, the community is different in that way. Like it's nice to be able to, not only, have a place to connect with people like that are I don't know, it's not an algorithm thing. It's like normally you're on your regular feed and it's just, which posts are you gonna keep seeing over and over again. It's kind of a lot of that. Like I follow so many people and sometimes I only see the same couple, so I just don't know
sure.
why the algorithm works that way and it's kind of weird. Even though I like the ones that are coming up, but I'd like to see more people if I'm scrolling, just what have they posted. So in the communities, when you click on the community tab on the side, you can click on the Bitcoin Army and scroll through what people have posted in real time, and see who's posting what. And it's not based on an algorithm there that's kind of showing you what it thinks you should see first or whatever. It's actually
Yeah.
just in real time posts, and I like that because it breaks away from the algorithm and. You're just seeing the feed as it comes out and then you can engage with people. And sometimes I always encourage people, or I'd like to encourage people more to comment, like, if you see something that clicks with you or you enjoy what they said, just leave them a like or say something. You know what I mean? It really for the work that they put in, the time to make that post for others, it's just nice to say, "Hey, I like that." You don't have to do
Yeah.
much, but even a like is nice to do. So scroll through the feed if you see somebody that resonates with you. Maybe you'll want to look at more of their profile and see what else they're up to, and you might make some friends. So it's just a really nice way to meet people and see what they've been doing and connect with others.
Yeah, give people that value for value validation, and I would love it if Elon or X was, kinda like Nostr. I'm on Nostr as well. It's a little more different kind of a work. I mean, there's not like an algorithm feed so much. It's straight up feed, and so you have to seek a little more what you want, and it
Hmm.
takes a little more technical time, but, it's an awesome platform.
Yeah, I
But
try
what I
to.
love about Nostr is the zaps, value for value zaps. I would love X to incorporate or other platforms that anyone could you can like stuff, sure.
Yeah.
If you could zap people 21 sats or 100 sats and provide that value for value circular economy, that would be amazing. But if nothing else on X, Bitcoin Army, etc., you can provide a reciprocal validation through likes and comments and reposts and build that
Yeah.
community. So,
And even the other thing too, like you said, like I love what Nasser is doing. I just feel like more people need to get over there more, post more, because sometimes, when most of the people are on one platform. But what the cool thing is once you start connecting with more people that you get closer with, you could ask them, "Hey, do you have a Nostr feed too?" And like maybe you know what I mean. Like the more people that you follow over there, then maybe more people will start seeing things. So it's just kind of I love how it is too. I think that I would have to curate my feed a little bit more. I don't know if I'm doing the relay thing right, or maybe I need a little, more time to fix it the way I want it. But I love how it is. I love that it's
yeah.
actually decentralized. It's like the Bitcoin of social media. So, and it'd be cool to create a community over there in the future and just be like, here's our X version and here's our Nostr version, So, because there's been
Yeah.
so many times on X where you're like, okay, it's a free speech platform, but technically it's not, So but at least you're able to live stream. A lot of people feel like they can live stream something or post a video that has more freedom on X than it would in a place like YouTube, and that's why you're using Rumble. Just Mhm.
Yeah. And there's some people I want to follow and catch up with, and they're for their own reasons, they're only on Nostr. So I'll pop over there and catch that where I can too. But X and YouTube certainly makes it easy, even as it's their own walled garden of sorts. But it works well enough. It gets the outreach out there.
Yeah,
Um, so we have been on here for over an hour and a half. I really appreciate your time. I wanted to, and Sweet Biddy, she says that it is Mysteries of the Bitcoin Citadel. You can go to at Paper Street Studios Inc. So you can check out her work there, and that at this evening, 7 p.m. She says.
perfect.
Okay,
Thank you so much for sharing that, sweet Biddy. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. It's been a great conversation.
yeah. Is there anything that I didn't touch upon before we go that you'd like to share?
Pretty much, I think you got everything. The Illinois Bitcoin Council, for anyone that's in Illinois, the greater the nodes, the stronger the network. They say that becoming a member there for anyone who's in the state wants to contribute. The more members we have, the more powerful the voice looks. When they're going to talk to policymakers and actually try to make informed decisions and actually change things in the states. I wanted to, highlight them. And yeah, the tickets soon will be going on. I think they're going on sale soon. I'll be sharing the link for the Midwest Bitcoin Summit in Ohio. Super excited about it. And I would love it if we could have a Bitcoin meetup there. Since I'll be there as a speaker, I'll be sharing information on that. I'll be in Vegas for the Bitcoin conference in Vegas as an attendee. I'm not doing a speaking thing there, but I would love it if we can host some sort of event there as well because it's going to be my birthday, the last day of the Bitcoin
Oh,
conference
nice.
in Vegas, and it's going to be my Bitcoin cousin's birthday, I think, the first
Oh,
day of the event. So we're going to have like probably a double birthday party situation. I don't know,
woo-hoo.
but we'll have some kind of get together, whatever. So it'll be fun. But
Cool.
it's just some thoughts, but we'll share some information when we know what we're doing.
Catch you at the conferences. Find Stacy at, you can go to at the Bitcoin Nova as well and your personal account as well. Join on the Bitcoin Army. Check out the podcast, the Bitcoin Nova podcast at the Bitcoin Nova. Something for everybody here. Stacy, I really appreciate the time you've spent with me. I had a lot of fun. Good to see you
Nice.
virtual live together here. I'm really enthusiastic about what you're building. You started your podcast, was it like 9 months ago maybe, where you were
Yep.
building it? And I remember not that long ago, you cracked 5,000 subscribers, and now you're over 6,000, so it's growing great. It's really exciting to see.
Yeah, I don't know what's happened lately. I think I don't know. I'm not sure. I think I added a channel trailer to the episode, and I think that helped push things out. But it was around Thanksgiving I had gotten to 3,000. So it's like, look
Mm.
how I think that again compounding effect. Proof of work and how things
Yeah.
grow when you put in the time. So I'm happy that it's reaching more people and people are enjoying it, and I'm really grateful.
You're doing awesome. I'm excited to see what 2026 brings. I'm bullish, not just about Bitcoin, but about everything we're doing, the relationships and connections we're making, and Bitcoin being hope and a golden future. So I'm just very excited about everything all around. So
Yes.
with that, we'll wrap it up. I'm going to play my little long outro trailer. It's got my promo code in here, but use the X Stacy promo code to get 5% off. So I'm going to play this and we'll be done. So thank
Thank
you again,
you for
Stacy.
that. Take care. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Yo, as a Bitcoiner, you know that taking self custody is critically important. But if you've ever had a seed phrase, you've probably had it written down on something kind of like this. Sure, you can hide it or secure it, but paper burns, paper fades, paper gets wet, paper rots, paper blows in the wind. Paper has things written on it that might look important. So get off paper and get yourself a microseed at microseed. Microseed is the best way to take self custody. Secure the most important property in the world that you own on titanium. And with promo code Fritz, you'll get 5% off your order. One single microseed kit allows you to stamp as many seed phrases as you want. And you can fit all 12 or 24 words on one single washer. Get the kit and crank out all the keys you'll ever need forever. You can even go down to the hardware store and buy your own washers by the bag or the box and crank out as many as you want. Go nuts. You can also go to microseed.io to get any extra washers you need, including stainless steel, nylon, or even titanium washers. So check this out. You put your washer in here, you set the table, you grab your punches, and you tap, click, tap, click, tap, stamp whatever you want, however you want it. It's tiny but clean and aligned. Your obscure little washer is indestructible, and you can hide it anywhere. Use your imagination. Microseed comes with stainless steel washers, a titanium washer, and even a nylon washer. Think of metal detectors or having to travel through security. Depth scanners cannot read this. Go to microseed.io and use promo code Fritz to get 5% off the best seed stamping tool available. Get there today and get yourself squared away.